We open on Charlie, a pregnant waitress who apparently hasn't mastered the art of walking quickly with a plate of hash browns. She gets cursed by an old lady because the food was a few seconds late. Now normally you just get a 0% tip and a nasty Yelp review, but this grandma goes full Old Testament and tells Charlie her unborn baby is going to burn.
Said your baby's gonna burn.
Naturally, this draws a crowd of shocked customers because nothing seasons a meal like a side of casual infanticide threats. Charlie slams the table and storms off, but honestly, that's the most normal thing that happens in the next 10 minutes. The old lady, who clearly missed her morning meds, starts eating a raw steak covered in flies. It's disgusting, unsanitary, and definitely a health code violation. She keeps chanting about burning babies like a broken demonic record. A customer named Sandra tries to play the "can't we all just get along" card, but she just gets a face full of insults. Sandra's husband Howard, thinking he's the hero of this B-movie, jumps up to teach Grandma a lesson. Big mistake. As he steps forward, she suddenly bites a huge chunk out of his neck. Local man discovers that "don't mess with the elderly" is actually survival advice. Percy the cook decides a frying pan is the best weapon in his arsenal and whacks her with it. It's very Looney Tunes, but less funny because a second later, the old lady stands up like she just took a refreshing nap. Her face turns into a literal nightmare fuel station. She lunges at the crowd and starts crawling across the ceiling like a budget Spider-Man. Bob, the owner, grabs his shotgun and starts blasting. He misses every single shot. Seriously, Bob? You're in a confined diner with a target the size of a person, and you're hitting nothing but the drywall. He gets slapped across the room for his incompetence. His shotgun lands in front of his son Jeep. Yes, his name is actually Jeep, which explains why he's struggling with basic human functions. Jeep picks up the gun, but is too scared to pull the trigger, probably because he's wondering if he was named after a Grand Cherokee or a Wrangler. Just as the old lady charges with her mouth wide open, 3 shots ring out. He drops dead. It turns out Kyle, another customer, actually knows how to aim a firearm. Gold star for Kyle. The group rushes a bleeding Howard to the car to find a hospital, which is optimistic given the circumstances. They don't get far before a massive dark cloud appears. Kyle, the resident genius, thinks it's just a storm and keeps driving into the abyss. Then a fly crawls through the air vent, and everyone realizes, way too late, that something is wrong. A massive swarm of flies engulfs the car, pouring inside like they've found the world's largest pile of garbage. They're forced to ditch the car and run back to the diner, because clearly, the place where they just saw a ceiling-crawling demon grandma is the safe spot. They realize the old lady's corpse is still warm, which is a detail nobody needed. Terrified, they decide to bury her on the spot. Before they can even break ground, a police car pulls up and a mysterious man steps out. It's the Archangel Michael. Bob stays on guard and makes Michael open his mouth to check his teeth, because apparently in this universe, you can spot an angel by their lack of gingivitis. Seeing nothing unusual, the group lets their guard down. Suddenly, Michael snatches the shotgun out of Bob's hands. He doesn't kill them though, he just stares into the distance like he's posing for a movie poster. Before anyone can process that they've just been disarmed by a celestial body, Michael starts handing out weapons and boarding up the doors. He's basically the general of this last stand at the Waffle House. As Michael sets up the defenses, everyone realizes one thing. This man knows exactly what's coming, and it isn't a rave. Night falls quickly, and Bob, who is somehow still trusted with lookout duty on the roof, spots an ice cream truck approaching. Now, usually, an ice cream truck at night is just a sign of a very dedicated local businessman, but this driver climbs out, and his arm starts stretching like sentient Play-Doh. He opens a massive, toothy maw and marches toward the group with a swaggering stride that screams, "I'm here to kill you, but make it fashion." The guys on the roof finally remember they have guns and turn the man into Swiss cheese. But surprise, that guy was just the appetizer. A massive convoy of cars appears on the highway, and the drivers are all twitching and jerking their heads around like they're auditioning for a low-budget exorcism movie. Once they get within range, the group unleashes a heavy wall of lead. Under the intense gunfire, the cars spin out of control, slamming into each other and erupting in massive fireballs. It's a Michael Bay dream, but Michael, the angel, spots another convoy coming from the other side. Not missing a beat, Michael shoulders a rocket launcher and blasts the lead car to pieces. Because nothing says divine messenger like a surface-to-air missile. Since the cars are wrecked, the puppets climb out and stumble toward the diner like they're extras from The Walking Dead who got lost on the way to the set. Kyle stops firing when he sees a little girl holding a balloon among the monsters. She looks innocent and harmless, and Kyle, bless his heart, just can't bring himself to pull the trigger. Michael, having zero time for Kyle's moral dilemma, jumps out and starts spraying bullets. He warns Kyle that those things aren't human anymore and tells him they can't afford to be soft-hearted. Apparently, in the apocalypse, stranger danger applies to toddlers with balloons too. Of course, because they were busy arguing, one of the monsters crashes through a window and breaks into the diner. It grabs the injured Howard, who has had a really bad weekend, and starts dragging him away. Everyone rushes over for a game of human tug-of-war, but then another hand reaches in and grabs the pregnant Charlie. At the last second, Michael steps in, hacks off the creature's arm with a blade, and saves Charlie. Howard, however, is unfortunately dragged out into the darkness. Sorry, Howard, you weren't the protagonist. Michael finally explains the why behind this madness. God has lost faith in mankind. Apparently we've been so annoying that heaven decided to hit the delete key on the human race. The angels are using human bodies as meat suits to carry out the judgment, but Charlie's baby is the loophole. That child is destined to become humanity's hope, which is a lot of pressure for someone who hasn't even mastered breathing yet. That's why Michael disobeyed orders and came to protect her. He believes mercy can still win over wrath, but for that to happen, they first have to survive the night without getting eaten by a middle-aged man with elastic limbs. The next morning, Sandra finds Howard behind the diner. He's hanging upside down on an inverted cross, covered in massive glowing boils. It's a horrifying message from heaven, basically a celestial wish-you-were-here postcard. Sandra runs to him in a panic, but then Howard's body suddenly explodes, spraying acid everywhere. Percy jumps in front of Sandra, using his own body as a shield. He ignores the agonizing pain and carries her back inside, saving her life while his back is literally being eaten away by the acid. It's a heroic move, but also a reminder that in this movie, if you're a side character, you're basically a walking target for chemical burns. Night falls again, and a van pulls up with a normal-looking guy and a little boy inside. Suddenly, several mysterious cars speed toward them. Kyle fires a warning shot to tell them to scram, but before the man can even get back in his van, one of the oncoming cars slams right into him. A mob of puppets swarms the van and snatches the boy. Kyle, forgetting that Michael just told him children are dangerous, jumps down to rescue the kid. He has no idea he's walking straight into a trap. The boy looks up and sinks his teeth into Kyle's neck. Classic evil kid trope. Never trust a child in a horror movie, Kyle. Audrey raises her gun to fight back, but she runs out of ammo at the worst possible moment. She scrambles into a nearby car to hide. Inside the diner, Charlie begs Michael to go save her, but Michael's only mission is the baby. Charlie refuses to let her friend die, so Michael takes her weapon away. Honestly, probably for the best, and decides to handle it himself. After blasting away at the crowd, he grabs a gas station nozzle, fires a shot that ignites the fuel, and uses a stream of fire to drive the puppets away. He pulls Audrey out of the inferno and they dive back into the diner just before the whole gas station blows up. Michael's back is literally smoking, which really adds to the bad boy angel aesthetic. Charlie rushes to get water, but when she turns around, that creepy little boy is right there. The kid lunges at her with a knife, but he swings so hard he loses control and accidentally slices off 2 of his own fingers. Great job, kid. Charlie kicks him across the room, but the shock of the fight sends her straight into labor. Because if the world is ending and angels are trying to kill you, why not add a medical emergency to the mix? The baby is coming, and it's coming now, because nothing says cinematic tension like giving birth in a dirty diner, while possessed toddlers try to stab you. After a lot of screaming and pushing, The baby is finally born. Apparently, the kid's lungs are a divine sonic weapon because the sound of the baby's crying makes the monsters outside howl in pain. They all freeze and clutch their heads in agony, which is honestly a relatable reaction to a crying infant. Right then, a mysterious light streaks down from the sky, and a man with massive wings walks into the diner. It's the Archangel Gabriel, sent by God himself to play the world's most intense Reaper man. Gabriel is here for one reason: to kill the newborn. Bob, who apparently learned nothing from his previous shooting failures, starts blasting away. Gabriel's steel wings block every single bullet like they're made of vibranium. One of the wings slices right through Bob's stomach, ending his career as a diner owner and part-time marksman. Michael tells the others to take the baby and run, while he stays behind to hold Gabriel off. Even without his wings, Michael is a beast. As a fellow Archangel, his combat skills are top tier, while Gabriel is basically fighting with a celestial cheat code. Michael realizes he needs to end this quickly. He dodges an attack with a quick sidestep, knocks the weapon out of Gabriel's hand, and gets him in a tight chokehold. Gabriel thrashes his wings wildly, slamming Michael against the ceiling over and over like he's trying to tenderize him. Gabriel starts to gasp for air, spots his weapon on the floor, and triggers a switch that drives a massive spike straight through both of them. Michael collapses, turns into a beam of light, and ascends back to heaven. Talk about a dramatic exit. Meanwhile, the survivors haven't driven very far before a massive thud hits the roof. Gabriel has already caught up, and he starts ripping the car apart like it's made of wet cardboard. Jeep sees his chance and floors the gas, then slams on the brakes. Gabriel goes flying off the car and tumbles down the road like a discarded action figure. The car, however, spins out of control and flips over several times. Miraculously, the baby is perfectly fine. Babies in movies are basically indestructible until the plot says otherwise. Jeep and Charlie scramble out and start running, but as they reach the top of a hill, Gabriel swoops down again. He knocks Jeep out with a single punch because, let's be real, Jeep's combat stats are 0. Gabriel demands the baby, and just when things look hopeless, Jeep wakes up for one final surprise attack. He tackles Gabriel, and they both go flying off a cliff. Gabriel, being an immortal celestial being, isn't killed by a little fall. He just tosses Jeep aside like a rag doll. Just as Gabriel raises his blade to finish the job, Michael suddenly drops down from the sky with a fresh set of wings and a "did you miss me?" attitude. It turns out God brought him back to life because Michael's sacrifice proved that mankind isn't a total lost cause. With his divine powers restored, Michael takes Gabriel down in a single round. Once Gabriel realizes that Michael is actually following God's true, albeit very confusing will, he tucks his wings and heads back to the clouds. Michael leaves Jeep with the small, casual responsibility of protecting the savior of humanity, then flies away. In the end, Jeep leads the group to a peaceful new sanctuary, finally starting a brand new chapter where, hopefully, no one's name is a brand of SUV.